Hello, welcome back to Leaders Whiteboard. This is Ashik again in our session 4 today. So our today's topic is, do you want to be a hands-on manager or a hands-off manager? So you'll see the last 3 episodes, in the last 3 sessions, what we discussed is what's leadership, how is it different from management? And then we decided that for a sufficiently experienced employee, what's their next career growth scope? Should they go into people management track or they want to stay in the individual contributor track? And then in the third or previous session, we discussed is that if you decide that you want to move into people management, first you need to figure out why you want to move into people management. What's your motive? Is it a reward-centric motive or responsibility-centric motive? Like you want to be someone reaping the result of your past hard work, and or do you want to actually get into a position to leading people or team or organization because you want to serve, servant leadership or not? Now, in today's session, as we progress from here, we assume that we understand our why. We want to be a people manager. But then people manager can be of many different types at different levels. So I want to draw your attention into one particular area, which is a highly debated topic in the industry, which is if you want to be a hands-on manager, you want to be a people manager, should you stay close to the day-to-day activities that the team is doing? You want to be hands-on, directly contribute there, or do you want to stay a little bit away, far, and empower the team and let them do, and let them come to you when they need help? So it's just not only that, there are more than these, but this is what I am labeling right now at a broader term as hands-on manager versus hands-off manager. I want to know what's your opinion on this, but before I ask you that, maybe let's go through some of the context or scenarios so that our discussions are more relevant to what I'm trying to gear towards. So because my experience is more in the software engineering industry, so some of the conversations or thought I will be sharing will be slightly biased there because my experience is relevant there. But in general, this hands-on manager or hands-off manager concept may be actually related to or relevant to non-technical industries as well. It doesn't have to be software engineering. It doesn't have to be just technology. It can, in general, be applicable for non-technical fields as well, as long as there is people management is involved, which is almost every industry. It might be very relevant for that. However, the examples I will use will be more with the context of software engineers. I hope that if you are from a non-technical field, but you want to explore this question, you can actually translate it to your industry as you see fit. Okay, so to do that, let me get to my presentation. Let me share my screen. It's a very small one, but I think it will help us focus our discussion around that. So the first thing is that let's agree on the definition of a hands-on manager. There are many different definitions that people think in many different ways. If we agree on the definition first, then we'll be able to further try to compare or see in which scenarios what's more applicable. So the definition I want to gear towards is a hands-on manager is one who takes an active and direct role in the day-to-day tasks and operations of their team or department. Active role. They are closely involved in the work processes, providing guidance, feedback, and sometimes even participating in the actual tasks alongside their team members. So, for example, let's take an example from outside of software engineering field first. So let's say you build roofs, solar roofs, and you are a manager. There are people team working for you who are building those roofs. So if we take the definition of hands-off manager in that context, it will be that you have built solar roofs in the past before you became a manager, or at times you actually go and actually help building the solar roofs along with your team members there, hands on, put your sleeves on, go make your hands dirty and actually help once in a while. Maybe you'll not always have time, but sometimes you do it. That can be a definition of a hands-on manager. Or for more relevant for many of my audience will be in the software engineering industry, a hands-on manager will be, let's say, you're a hands-on people manager for a software company. What it will mean is that not only your team members or direct reports who are engineers, they write code, but you also write code. Maybe regularly, maybe irregularly, maybe infrequently, maybe once in a while. But you also write code once in a while. If you put this way, majority of my audience will actually agree that yes, this is a hands-on manager. They're writing code with us. Maybe they're code in some definitions, it will be because you, before becoming a manager, you have been a programmer or coder. Your coding standard should be maybe even better from some of your engineers. So that's an extreme position. I think that's not often the case, or it doesn't have to be. But the fact that you are coding once in a while automatically makes you a hands-on manager, because you cannot code without understanding the whole details, the process writing, the flow, CI/CD, the domain, and all these things. So you are just an engineer who is also a people manager. So in our software industry, we also have some roles called TLM, team lead manager, who actually do everything an engineer does, coding, system design, testing, everything, but they also manage people before they move higher in the management hierarchy, the concept of TLM, team lead manager. But we are not talking about team lead manager here, just regular people manager who also codes. Maybe before becoming manager, they used to code 80% time and 20% they would do meeting or other things, like all the soft skills that you would have to demonstrate, shared responsibilities. But once they became manager, they slowly go into 50% coding, 50% managing people, and then they reduce over time to 20/80. Only 20% time they get time to code, and 80% is their other responsibilities, management responsibilities. And eventually, as you grow as a manager in the career ladder, maybe you don't get the opportunity to keep even that 20%, it becomes 0%. I'm only talking about coding right now. However, a hands-on manager doesn't mean you have to code. That is a definition where many other people, our audience, may have question, and we can discuss it more. I'm interested to know more from you. From my point of view, you can be a hands-on manager without writing a single line of code, from a software engineering industry point of view. Let me know if you disagree with that in this statement. However, maybe you don't write code, but you do code review. That is also technical. You have to be very technical to be able to approve or reject pull requests and say why this, rewrite this, refactor this code will not work, and so on. So that's another one, code review. There is another one. You might be not doing coding. You might not be doing code review, but you are involved heavily into system design and architecture of the system, of the software systems. So you have to be pretty hands-on on that. From a technical point of view, you have to know what frameworks are available, what programming languages are good nowadays, what's the difference between NoSQL database versus SQL database, what's the advantage and disadvantages, why cloud and not on-premise, and so on. So you have to stay very technical to be able to make calls or help the team on tie-breaking some of those decisions. You have to be a hands-on manager, even if you don't code. We can go through further examples, but I just wanted to give you a high-level idea of this, what I consider as a hands-on manager. Anything, the manager who is technically involved with the team, whether they write code, they do code review, or even system design or architecture or not, but they are involved in the team's day-to-day or week-by-week execution of technical implementation of their work, of the project. They are hands-on manager. Now, by usually this kind of hands-on manager who are closely involved with the team on their day-to-day or week-to-week or sprint-by-sprint execution, they are usually at a early stage of their management career, early level. Maybe they were engineer earlier, they recently became manager, new managers, and so on. But within managers, there are multiple levels. There are 3 widely accepted levels or layers of people managers or management. One is frontline management, or first level management, you can say, or line level management is also another term people use, or you can use for frontline management. Frontline managements are usually manager, senior manager, TLM, and so on. And then there is mid-level management. Mid-level managements are usually manager of managers. So front-level managers usually manage other engineers or other technical people. Mid-level managers usually manage people who manage other technical people, manager of managers. For example, director or senior director and so on. And then there are executives or executive managers or executive leaders. They are the highest level of manager. Their job is to actually set the strategy and vision for the organization and the team rather than actually doing any work, any day-to-day level or sprint level work. They are usually VPs, SVPs, AVPs, C-level executives like CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and so on, or even CEO. So they are executive level at the highest level. The mid-level manager of manager positions are a little bit tricky. Their role is not very well defined often. The line level managers, they know they have to directly execute the projects day-to-day level, the team, hiring, firing the engineers and so on. And the top level is also, there are a lot of literature around it. What you do as a CEO, as a CTO, as a VP of a department, how you influence that people, bring everyone together, set the strategy and vision. But the mid-level, the manager of manager level, their job is to actually bridge the gap between this front level or line level managers and the executives or the vision of the company. So their job is a little bit tricky at the mid-level. So when we are talking about hands-on manager, we usually refer to line level or frontline managers, usually manager or senior manager, because by the time you get to the mid-level manager, usually you will not have time to make your hands dirty. Of course, it varies company to company. In many companies, it is like they give you extra time to stay technically sound, like so that you are regularly in touch with coding and so on, you don't forget and all those things. But the general understanding is that the higher you go in the people management hierarchy, it will be harder for you to stay in at a line level like coding or code review or system design architecture review. Even some people maintain the system design architecture level review even up to executive level, but it's very hard to actually stay at the testing level, code review level, or coding level when you are moving up in your people management hierarchy. The general norm is you will not have time for it. Your time will better be well spent on other activities. That's a lot more multiplier effect kind of activities rather than actually working what you can get done with an individual contributor. So overall, I think this part we can agree on is that what we mean when we are talking about hands-on manager, people who are closely involved in the day-to-day activities of the team. They are hands-on managers. A particular version of hands-on manager, which is a lot of people dislike, is micromanagers. They are too involved. They don't empower the team to work on it. So not all hands-on managers are micromanagers. And a lot of micromanagers may actually be hands-on managers, and they don't feel that confidence to delegate their tasks. They often try to get it done because they don't have confidence on the others in the team. But as a manager, your job is to actually get things done by others, not do it yourself. You will empower or you enable or you train others so that they can get it done. Your job is to coach them or to mentor them rather than actually doing the work yourself. So micromanager is an extreme version or subset of hands-on manager. But when we say there can be some very good hands-on managers in the industry, in team, or you have been seeing all around you, a lot of very good hands-on managers. That's why many engineers also say that I prefer my manager to be a hands-on manager, but the opposite is also true. Many engineers say I prefer my manager to be hands-off manager, but we'll get there. All right, so let's go to the next one. What is a hands-off manager? What's our definition that we can agree on? A hands-off manager, often referred to as laissez-faire or delegative manager, is one who provides their team with a high degree of autonomy and trusts them to execute tasks and make decisions with minimal direct oversight. So here is the difference. The hands-on manager has direct oversight, day-to-day execution. A hands-off manager will have minimal direct oversight. An extreme version of a hands-on manager is micromanager that we said. On the other hand, hands-off managers are usually macromanager. They look at a strategic level, at a long-term level, they delegate, they empower the team. But then also, hands-off managers may also be a subset of them may be actually bad for the team or the company because they are under manager. They don't manage at all. They just tell, I trust you, I have hired good people, you execute, and I will look at the result. So that's really not the job of a manager. A manager is supposed to be with their direct report on the steps, see they are on the right track, course correct them if they are going wrong track, offer help, be there for them. So not all hands-off managers are like this. Many hands-off managers are very good coaches for their direct reports, and they empower them, they put trust on them, they delegate, but they also be there for them, help them, or guide them when they feel like they are going on the wrong track. Yeah. So that is our definition of hands-off manager. Now comes, okay, so what do you want to be? You are a new manager, you moved. Do you want to be hands-on manager or hands-off manager? So that also depends on how you got into the management position in the first place, how you get hired. Did you get hired from outside as a manager directly, or were you an engineer and you got promoted into engineering manager internally in the company? So again, it varies on many different situations. There are contexts, but I'll just talk about something like a mainstream or standard use case, and then there will be a lot of variations possible, right? So one mainstream standard situation is that people become a manager in a particular company where they were an engineer. So their engineering performance, their day-to-day work impressed their management, and as a reward, or they saw potential in them, in good potential in them to be doing good in as people manager. So they decided to reward them or try them out in as an engineering manager. So usually that's a very standard use case, how people become an engineering manager from an engineer. And by the way, I'm talking in terms of engineering manager, but it can be any manager. It doesn't have to be engineering. It's easier for me to give that as a reference, as I myself have come from a coding or programmer background. I have been a Java programmer, then I moved into engineering management. So it's easier for me to explain that way, but you can extrapolate it to your own industry and context. So one recommendation you'll see to many new manager, like one of my manager, Kenchu, he recommended me is that, Ashik, you are moving into engineering management, but I recommend you to still stay hands-on, like you are coding right now, like continue to code for another couple of years, because it's quite possible that you may not like management, people management. Like after a couple of years, or maybe after 6 months, 1 year or so, you will come back and become an IC. Like, I don't want management. I don't want to be people manager. I want to be a technical, I want to continue to pursue my role in the technical leadership rather than. And actually it happened to me early in my career. I was in a TLM, technical lead manager role, for quite some time, maybe 1.5 years, and I was not enjoying that as much as coding as a Java developer. So I actually left and continued in my technical track for quite a long time, another like 10 years or so, before I thought that now is a good time for me to move into management again, a second time. And that time I stick to my management. So this is just an example of why you might want to stay hands-on manager for first couple of years when you first move into engineering management. It's a hedge on your career. Like you don't like it, you don't like people management, you don't like the uncertainties, maybe the politics, the diplomacy and all those, it comes with the stakeholder management responsibilities it comes with. So you can decide to go back to IC route. But anyway, majority of the people, almost no one actually moves back from engineering management to IC. Maybe let's say less than 10% people move into that. So 90% plus cases, it will be once people move into engineering management, they think a lot before moving and they try to stick there unless they get, let's say their job is gone and they're compelled to move into IC track, but intentionally at someone's own will, people usually I have seen not moving back to IC line, but that option is there. Now, both are necessary. We need hands-on managers, we need hands-off managers. And there is no one thing better than the other. You have to look at your own situation, your own career goal. What's your dream out of it? What's your philosophy of life? What excites you and so on. Now, I'm assuming that you have, before becoming a manager, you have asked your why. And one of the answer for the why or a litmus test, if you are if people management is right for you, is that what excites you most when a projects get delivered, or when your engineer has contributed significantly to a project. Are you happy by seeing an engineer growing in their career, or a project serving the customers? You are happy at both, but which one excites you more? If the technology or the product or the service that the end user is using excites you more, then the people who made those available, the employees or your engineer or the test engineer or the other people in the team who worked on it, and seeing their joy that, oh, we have delivered the project successfully, that triumph, looking at their eyes, it makes you more excited. Then you are really going in the management direction for the right reason, because people is more important to you than the product. For an individual contributor, the product is more important than the people, or the people who are working with you. But both are important. It's not one versus the other. You need both, but what excites you more? So anyway, here are some, this infographic I developed just to have a conversation on some of the key areas. Like a hands-on manager, let's say you're a software engineering manager. Usually what it means is you want some control. If you're a hands-on manager, you want some control on the delivery of the product, the sprintly outcome, the quarterly outcome, and so on. They have that nag for some control in this, their input, their oversight day to day, if things are going on right track. If not, you want to bring them back on right track, unblock the team, unblock your engineer who's not getting a question answered, and so not being able to make progress and so on. So you are looking for some kind of control. Maybe you do some coding, 1% of your time, or maybe you do code review, or maybe you spend time on system design and architecture with your team. Either they present to you, you challenge the design, or you give ideas in the design, make those changes and so on. So basically you actively participate in system design and architecture, and you have a close oversight on what's happening, and you give immediate feedback to the team or the engineer. Oh, this is not the one, that's how you do. Or maybe you run war rooms, you debug with your team members when a production issue happens. These are some of the signs of a hands-on manager. A hands-off manager, on the other hand, believes in delegation. They find the right people who can do that debugging. They find the right engineer who should be handling this project. They find the right engineer who should be promoted from engineer to manager, because they have a nag for people rather than product more. They trust the team and they allow autonomy. Let the team do it and let them come to me when they are in trouble. I'll figure out how to unblock them at that time, instead of close oversight. They do minimal direct oversight. Like, yeah, I have hired the good people. You are a good engineer. Figure out how you want to do it. If you are unable to find out a move forward, let me know and I'll find someone else who can help you. I'll find a way to unblock you, or I'll find a way to bargain and minimize the scope of the project so that you can ship on the deadline within the right schedule and so on. But instead of they going there and checking if everything is going good, they actually look for their team to come back to them when they need help. So that's one difference between hands-on and hands-off manager. The hands-off manager has more strategic focus, while a hands-on manager has more tactical focus. More tactics, and here it's more strategy, a little bit more long-term rather than short-term. So this is how I see the difference between hands-off and hands-on. However, I'd like to know, what do you think? So any examples, if you want to give, where you think that hands-on manager is not a very good idea, like you feel like they will be micromanager, or hands-off manager are not good because they are simply not running the team or helping the team at all. Yeah, so I'd like to know more from you on that. So please subscribe the channel and like these videos so that when I upload new content, you get notified. I'm very interested to know from you, what do you think about this? So thank you so much, and have a nice day.